Hi, my friends. Welcome to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, your host, and also an indie author. I'm thrilled you're joining me today for another fun interview with a passionate author. We're going to kick off this show with an exciting reading, so let's get started.
Hi there, my name is Kat Masson. I'm a writer based in the UK. I launched my first book, Alter Ego, in October of 2020. So I'm going to read a little extract from my book for you. That is the first chapter of my book, 4 years earlier. Hi, I'm grabbing 5 minutes between meetings to send you a quick message. Love your profile. I'm a fellow Scot. I was born in Glasgow, but no longer have the accent, unfortunately. Anything more you'd like to know about me, please feel free to drop me a line. Mal. 3 days after unhiding my profile, I was already beginning to feel the onset of online dating fatigue. Man shopping should be as fun as it sounds. But the kid in the sweet shop appeal of trawling through profile after profile quickly subsides when you begin to suspect the photographs are 10 years old, before the men have lost their hair and gained a beer belly. And they start their bit about me with, "Hello, thanks for stopping by. I consider myself a gentleman with integrity. I'm genuine, caring and thoughtful. I've been told I'm good-looking, charming, well-mannered, interesting and engaging, fun-loving with a good sense of humour." Anyone who feels the need to mention they possess a sense of humour clearly doesn't. What stops me throwing in the towel completely is the prospect of being single for the next 40 years, gradually drying out and becoming increasingly wrinkled and grey and crotchety. On the whole, I could scan pages of profile photos of men that had appeared as my matches, with no danger of my heart racing. Occasionally, some square-jawed, raven-haired, dark-eyed lovely would cause it to skip a beat, providing a brief interlude from the real world, until reading his profile where he would undoubtedly prove himself to be a narcissist, only interested in women 25 years younger than him, with dubious beliefs, religious and political, providing too much information about his hobbies, terrible taste in music, or a lack of interest in anything that isn't sport-related. Sometimes all of these traits are missing, but I had grown to assume there must be some unspoken rule, that if someone is not only extremely attractive, but also appears to be sane, intelligent, successful and solvent, they pretty much can pick or choose from the entire site. I had learnt that, in the interest of self-preservation, they were best avoided. The odd profile made me laugh out loud, though, spraying coffee all over my keyboard, as has happened earlier that morning. Recently, I've looked around and realised I'm the last one left on the dance floor, and if I'm not careful, I'm headed for an undignified single existence, probably involving silver leather jackets and some kind of white sports car. Sadly, he fell into the above category, so I decided not to darken his inbox. I remembered this guy, though. He'd liked me a few days ago and had looked at my profile a few times. He sounded just my type, mainly because he said he was obsessed with music. He'd listed a few bands that would get into my top 10 too. His profile stated Brixton as his location, which was handy. I lived not too far away. He had a line about wanting to meet someone who'd like to go to gigs with him so that he no longer looked like a record company executive, on his own, in a suit, and 20 years older than the rest of the crowd. His photos were a little uninspiring, though. His selfie taken on a train. No one is going to look their best under the harsh strip lighting of public transport. But there was one. He was in profile, sitting on a bench with a lake behind him, wearing a really good suit, tanned, expensive sunglasses, hair coiffured with just the right amount of care and product. And, I noted with delight, a slight chin cleft, a true sign of a flirt, they say. Ned, then 4 years old, had one, and he was already in training. Anyway, I'd been preoccupied over the last few days with messaging a cute investigative news reporter with dark, almond-shaped eyes and floppy black hair that framed his face to perfection. He sent me a message the first evening I'd been on the site. "Hi, Leica. I love the way you've written your profile. You seem so perfectly lovely. Why haven't you got a handsome boyfriend to kiss you goodnight?" Good start, I'd thought. His profile was succinct and self-deprecating, with a funny retelling of meeting a girl on the tube a few weeks earlier. I'd asked him in one message what had happened to the girl. I don't know. I allowed her to kiss me for a few seconds before I got off at the next stop. That struck me as odd, probably not the whole story. We continued to exchange messages for a few days, but I was well versed in this endeavour. I knew putting all my eggs in one basket was not the sensible approach. So it was with promiscuous haste that I moved a few into Mal's. I replied, "Hi Mal, nice to meet you. So what was your last gig?" "Mine was Nick Cave. He's a genius. Alex." I went online half an hour later and saw by the small green dot next to his profile name that he was too. A few minutes later, I got another message. "Hi, Alex. Yes, Nick Cave. Totally love him. Seen him loads of times and of everything he's ever done, even all the Grinderman stuff, which is pretty difficult to listen to. So you obviously have great taste. So, do you fancy meeting for a coffee or a drink sometime? If so, when is good?" We continued emailing for a few days, exchanging top 10 lists of our favourite artists and talking about the difficulties of co-parenting. I said to him that it was to his credit he spent so much time with his son. I'd come across dads who rarely saw their children, something I found extraordinary. But over time, I also realised that spending little time with their offspring allowed men to do pretty much what they wanted when they wanted. After a spell of domesticity, they reverted to a bachelor lifestyle, albeit with a significant portion of their salary going to their ex-spouse. Dating a woman with kids is probably not going to be an attractive prospect for a guy who doesn't spend any time with his own. We decided to meet sometime on Friday. A few days before, we swapped from messages on the dating site to texting. "Hi, it's Mal. Just so you know, I'm a modern man. I'm ironing my work shirts as I type. Your work sounds very creative. I'm impressed." I replied, "Yes, well, these days everybody thinks they're a photographer, so our days are numbered. I'll make the most of it while it lasts. Got to shoot for a new client tomorrow. So what about your work? I know you work in the financial sector." I got a message alert a few minutes later. "Yes, I work for a German investment bank in their corporate sector. My department is responsible for managing risk across the business, so we're involved in analysing performance and giving support to international finance teams." I could go on, but I imagine your eyes might have glazed over by now. I really admire people who work for themselves. So, are you free on Friday morning? The cafe at the Ritzy? The exchange of messages had happened quite late that night. The next morning when I woke, I turned over and reached for my phone on the bedside table. I was pleased to see there was another message from Mel. "Hi, good luck with your shoot today." Getting Ned ready for school and myself prepped for the shoot, I didn't get a chance to reply. Also, if I'm honest, maybe I subconsciously wanted to give the impression I was a busy professional woman, not always available. On the way home after the job was finished, I replied, "Thank you, it's gone really well. Just a few simple shots of a gallery, plenty of natural light, which I love. Tomorrow morning is great. 10ish? Can't wait." "Yes, me too. So, have you shown my profile to any of your friends?" he asks, cringing slightly. I replied, "No, I did once when I started internet dating, a year ago, I guess. Not many of my friends have done it, so they think I'm totally mad anyway." "Oh dear, I don't ask. Have you shown mine to any of your friends?" "What does she want? The moon on a stick?" Might be a measured response. LOL. I did show yours to a friend. He said if we don't hit it off, he'll leave his wife for you. This was how it always started. An optimistic exchange of messages where both parties are pretty certain they're about to embark on the romance of the century. The trouble is, after that, it often goes tits up.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. I am so excited you guys are joining us today. I have the fabulous Kat from London joining us. It's such a thrill. So, Madame, welcome. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, DC. How are you today?
I am wonderful. I am excited. We're connected. I'm glad you're on this show.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'm thrilled, and this book has me giggling and cringing all at once. And I'm like, oh, because all I can think is this is not going to end up well.
It's not going to be happy ever after, is it?
No. I feel bad from the beginning, but still, it's like, ooh, Alex, I don't know you, but I'm praying for you, man.
Really,
girl.
really, yes, yeah. Well, I guess with that character, I didn't want to write a character that was perfect and a goody two shoes, because people aren't like that.
They're not. So we're gonna jump into the book because I'm going, where did this idea come from? And just tell us. Let's just go through
Yeah.
this. What is she going through? And why is she going through this?
Well, my protagonist, Alex, is in her early 40s. She has found herself single with a young child. She made all the decisions. She decided that her marriage was over because her partner had serious depressive issues. And I think she struggled for a long time to decide whether to go it alone or not. But she did decide to go it alone, but then realized that actually that meant spending a considerable chunk of her life on her own. And so a few friends had done some internet dating, and she thought, well, why not? Why not give it a try? It might be fun. So she does. She starts doing it. And London, like any big city, is going to have a quite busy dating scene. So she does meet lots of guys, quite often within the space of only a few days as well. So I did a bit of that sort of 10 years ago or something. So what I found extraordinary about that world, that scene, is how people can make up stories about themselves. They, on their profile, they develop this kind of persona, and it's crazy. I mean, it's, maybe this much of it is actually true. So I kind of wanted to just, talk a little bit about that scene and what it's like, especially being a woman, in her early 40s. She's already had a child, and she thinks she probably doesn't want to have any more, but she doesn't want to be on her own. And actually, I think in that situation, the odds are stacked against women, really. I mean, I think everybody lies on dating sites, but men, they lie about their age, they lie about their height. So I think she felt really, like, oh gosh, it was going to be a roller coaster, really. She meets this guy, Mal, that she totally falls for. But, no sooner have they got together than he goes back to his girlfriend. There's a few things that happen that make her feel pretty crappy about some of the decisions she makes. So she decides that's it. She's going to go cold turkey. No more dating. And then she gets an invite from a guy that she was at college with, 20 years before. He's organizing a college reunion. And she thinks, oh my God, can you face going along to something like this on your own? We've all been there. It's like, what excuse can I come up with not to go? So she goes, okay, I'll go along. Anyway, one thing leads to another, and they end up getting together. This guy that she'd known at the time, he was this kind of hippie, he used to skateboard around town, and everybody thought he was a bit of an idiot, really, to be honest. But he's been really successful. He's an artist. His works sell for a lot of money. So he's actually, he's gone from this kind of idiot kind of character to a grown-up man who wears linen suits, and and he has this big house in Westbourne Grove. He kind of makes a play for her, and she's totally taken in by it. And before she knows it, he's asked if Ned, her son, and her can move in, and they do. And and that's kind of really where the story starts, because she's not happy.
My heart goes out to Alex, because I'm going, girl, just be single. You'll be okay. I don't know much about online dating, just because I am terrified about it. I'm the person that needs to see people face to face.
Yeah, sure.
So
I mean, that's the ideal, isn't it?
But at the same time, I'm always blown away when I meet people that have made those connections online.
Yeah, sure.
And they have fallen in love, and you're going, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love your take on this situation and on this world. And the fact that she knows the drill, it is the same concept again. It is, here's what we do, here's step one, and this is going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet,
yeah.
And yet she still does it. You're going, at some point in time, you might want to get off the cycle, girl. Like, this is not working out. When you were looking at this, you were able to pull from your experiences, which is kind of fun. Were you able to talk to other people and see their experiences? Is this something similar? How did you find information about this world?
I think a lot of it is things that happen. I mean, not everything that Alex does happened to me, but some of the things did. And certainly all of the people in the book, I've changed names and situations and things like that. But there are a limited number of kind of personalities, and people kind of fit quite neatly into these kind of behavior patterns as well, really. I guess also what I didn't want to do is get too bogged down in the dating stuff. I mean, I know there's a big chunk of it at the start, and that actually I did cut that down quite a bit. But what I wanted was for the reader to really understand what a kind of ridiculous situation she was in. I mean, she did it all herself. Nobody pushed her into it. But I think she kind of felt trapped a bit. And I think also this idea, this idea that she didn't want her son to grow up without a father figure. Her father, kind of fell by the wayside a bit because he had these depressive issues. So also, I mean, this was 10 years ago, and I think we have moved on. I think also mothers think, well, actually, the way to bring up a strong, independent, either a girl or a boy, is just to be really strong and supportive and always be there, and so I think maybe if Alex was going through all of that now, she'd think, forget it. I'm doing this on my own, sister.
Might have been a little easier and save us some headaches, because I'm going, oh, girl, that is just painful. I do agree. When it comes to online world, which is kind of amazing, is people do get very creative writing, is what I call it. They get very creative in their profiles, and you're reading them and it's like reading resumes for jobs. You're like,
absolutely, yeah.
People walk on water, and then you meet them. You're like, people look so much better on paper all the time. I never thought about you're changing your height. I'm like, people are going to see you. Eventually, they're going to be like,
of course,
you're not 6 feet tall. Like, why would you say those things?
Completely. Well, also with women, I remember doing it. I'd like, okay, so he's 5'10". That's like, I can wear heels for the day. It's okay for me to wear it. Then if they say that there's a thin line, I think if somebody says they're 5'9", chances are they're actually 5'7". Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah, I think so. So you would absolutely have to wear, I mean, I don't know how tall you are, but I'm not very tall, but I think it would be embarrassing to turn up to a date in heels, and they're sort of down here somewhere.
There's a huge height discrepancy. It's like, well, you said you were 6'2".
Yes.
Not expecting it not to be that way. So I dress for a 6'2" kind of date.
Yeah, exactly. It's a dangerous world out there, I can tell you.
I feel bad for Alex already. I was like, girl, just, I don't know what you're going to do. This is not working out for you. I like the complexity that you're taking her on this journey. That is very real. And it's very much, we fall for people with our hearts, and we want to see the best of them. Yeah. And when that happens, you're like, where did I get myself into? Yeah. So that is amazing. So how did you come up with the story itself? Where did that come from?
I think, again, I mean, a lot of it was from real life experiences. Obviously not all of them. I haven't been arrested for attempted murder.
Thank you. That's a good thing. Let's keep it that way.
Sirens we can hear in the background. But I think also, I mean, one of the big things, one of the big aspects of her story, I think, is about the female friendship she has as well. Especially when you have children, you meet lots of other parents. You get to know them, the mothers especially. You get to know them, dropping off at nursery, and then you do play dates, chatting at the school gates, all of that kind of stuff. And they become your main social group when your children are really little as well. And actually what becomes apparent quite quickly is that women can be quite competitive, especially when it comes to their children, and like, oh, Sophie's doing this already, and and I booked her up for piano lessons, this kind of stuff. But they're also quite critical of the way that other people bring up their children as well, and especially if there's little tiffs in the playground and things like that. So there was all the all that kind of stuff that I really I found fascinating at the time. I think I'm quite a gregarious person, and we did make lots of friends. And my son, he's now 15, but when he was little, he loved having people around for play dates and all of that kind of stuff. But like most kids, I remember there were times when he'd get really tired and shout or throw something across the room, and then there's this awkward situation with the mum and the child, and like, what do you do? Do you say tell them to go, or do they just want to go anyway? So all of that kind of stuff was quite could get quite heated. And also the idea, I think, of Alex starting to date when she has a small child as well, and that where does she draw the line about how much time she spends with her, with her child? And, and I got it when I started dating. Some friends thought I should just be staying at home and not having a social life. And maybe that would have been easier and But Alex, she could have saved herself a whole world of pain, couldn't she? But hey,
we have not made for such exciting story. Let's be honest. How long did it take you to put this book together?
Oh gosh, well, I think I probably started, because I don't want to go too much into my personal life, but when my long-term relationship broke up, it was quite traumatic because my partner was depressive as well. So my coping mechanism was actually starting to write things down, just jotting things down in a notebook. Actually, nothing, I had no intention of writing, but I think I realized that actually the writing process was quite, kind of cathartic. And then a little bit later, probably 4 or 5 years later, actually, I thought, actually, I should need to do something with this. Because I'm a graphic designer. That's what I've done all my career. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. So there were only little slots, maybe once a week or twice a week if I was lucky to do some writing. But I really had this passion to get this story. It had kind of formed in my mind, medley of some of my experiences, but also my imagination just going crazy and thinking all of these things that could happen to her as well. So I had a contract I was working on, a design contract that came to an end a bit earlier than I thought it was going to. And actually it was perfect because we have Faber and Faber, the publishers who are based in the UK. They have a Faber Academy where they do lots and lots of different writing courses. And I'd signed up just to see what courses were available. And they called me one Friday afternoon and said, hey, look, somebody's just pulled out. They can't make this course. It was called How to Start Your Novel in a Week. They'd pulled out. They couldn't do it. They'd been given it as a birthday present. And the person didn't realize that they wouldn't be able to, they were busy that week. So they had to pull out, and hey, there was a spare place. So it was just God-given, really, this opportunity. So I did that, and that really gave me the impetus to write and get it done. So that was at the beginning of 2017. So actually took 4 years.
So tell me, what advice would you give an up-and-coming author?
Oh gosh, I would say just do it. We find so many ways to not write. We go and do some gardening, or we go and do some shopping, or I think it's just finding a time in your day and being really, I think you actually have to be quite selfish, to be honest. I think you have to make that time in your day when you decide, okay, it's going to be 11 till 1 o'clock. And you don't allow anything, to stray into that. And it's just a little bit every day. That's, I think, obviously some people are able to write 15,000 words a day. If only, but I can't do that. I think if somebody wants to write a book and they haven't done it, then there's a reason. There are blockers. So I think it's finding a way to make those blockers kind of go away or subside a little bit, so that you can just get it done. So that just doing a little bit every day, even just 300 words a day, God, that would, you're able to work on it. And I think one thing that I realized quite early on is that my kind of target for a day was 2,000 words. How many do you manage? What's your kind of average?
When I started, my goal was to do a chapter a day, and my chapters were 2,000. That was my goal. I was like, sure, I'm going to do this. Now it depends. I'm usually I'm a binger, or I don't do anything.
Okay.
So I'm either on or off.
Sure. For me, anyway, I think I have an amount of creativity in a day. And I think by the time I've got to the end of the 2,000 words, I've kind of run out, really. So I realize that now. I realize that. And if I'm tired, if I haven't slept very well or something, I'm not very good at kind of being able to kind of just knuckle down. So actually, but as a writer, there are so many other things that you can do. You can be editing, or you can be working on your social media, presence. So I think on days, certainly for me, on days when I haven't felt up to writing, I've just done other things. So I've just made sure that, you're still progressing, because, all of this stuff has to be done. But on a day when I just didn't feel, kind of on top, then I just did something else. Keeping going, I think, is the way to do it, and not give up. And also, as we know, because with self-publishing is so easy. it's not easy, but it's certainly much easier than it was. So there's nothing to stop you. There's nothing to stop you. The gatekeepers
they're not there anymore.
They're not there anymore. Absolutely. Yeah.
Listeners interested in starting a book, start a book. Don't think too much about it. Because I think somebody gave me one of those advice that said, what most people do is they think about it so much that they stop themselves. And I'm like,
sure.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just getting something down, because I think what you need, it's much better to hone something that's there.
You can't edit a blank page. Let's be honest. That's not going to happen. So, madam, where can our listeners find you? Where can they find the book? Tell us.
Yeah, sure. So I am exclusive to Amazon at the moment. So it's available everywhere. It's only available in English at the moment. But yeah, if they go to Amazon and search Alter Ego K.A. Masson, they'll find me there. Yeah.
Awesome. And where can they find you if they want to connect with you?
Okay. So I am on Instagram, author_K.A. Masson, and on Twitter at K.A. Masson _writer. Facebook, author K.A. Masson. And my website as well is kamasonwriter.com.
So we got lots of places people can connect
and
find absolutely. You and definitely be able to talk to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So before we go, are you ready to move to our lightning round?
Yeah, gosh.
Easy peasy. Don't think too much about this. Let's do this.
Okay.
Here's your first one. Pirate or knight?
Knight.
Sweet. City or country?
City.
Private jet or yacht?
Oh, gosh. I'd say yacht. Yacht.
Nice.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Here's a little different one. Let's see how you do. Favorite type of food?
Oh, gosh. I would say Indian.
Ooh.
Indian.
I'm all with you there.
Yeah.
Here's our last one. Let's see what you have for this one. One word that best describes you.
Oh, gosh. Energetic.
I like. Perfect. Well, madam, it has been such a pleasure and so much fun talking to you today. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
Gosh, well, just to say thank you so much, DC. It's been such a pleasure to meet you and chat to you. And it would be absolutely fantastic if your listeners would like to read Alter Ego. I'd be absolutely delighted. So yeah, please do read it if you fancy hearing about Alex and her crazy lifestyle.
Alice had some issues, but all of us do too. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. Kat, it has been such a pleasure. Thank you. We're excited about your project. We're excited about this book. Go ahead, my friends, give this episode a like, share with your friends, invite them to join us. And we'll always be here next week with another exciting episode. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.